Hello. Hopefully you can hear me. Um, I've been having a few problems with my computer. As always, we have the general Microsoft update problem. Um, but I think it says you can hear me. My mouth's moving. That's always a good idea. So, hello. Welcome to Friday. Um, I have been busy at work this week, to the point that um, my co-worker who texts me a lot. Um, he's been texting me, and this time last week we had just received servers. Um, we did have our, yeah, we did have our, we had the non-prod servers last week, and I'd started building them. And on Monday, week Monday, will have had the prod ones. But we were going with prod first because that's the kind of way we fly sometimes. And so I've been building servers, and I clocked up a few hours and I worked really hard. And despite lots of problems, I finished, arguably, Wednesday. This morning they were still discussing whether my co-worker is allowed to log into them or not. This is the hyper mega rush job that we've got. We had 33 days when we started. Bear in mind they ate a lot by waiting on hardware. So it's going to be done by the end of the month. Um, for he's got 4 weeks of work to do. So the sooner he got them, the more likely he was to have done something. And the reason we're going prod first is that they were going to cheat and not move the database stuff for non-prod till later because they can. The database stuff is only moving to help a firewall. It's not needed to move, if that makes sense. Anyway, I built a full. I've done my bit. As I said this morning, well, I don't really know. So it's been a little bit stressful at work, because, well, basically nothing's ready. They didn't get me my licenses. They haven't got the software we use to connect stuff ready. The the stuff to join things didn't work. The firewalls weren't working. Literally, they hadn't set up the networking kit correctly, and you're just like, I am too old for this. I did my bit. I did what should have been 2 weeks' work in 4 days because I prepped, because I planned, because I sorted out as much as I could before I started. Not one idiot said thank you. Not one. Um, so, to be honest, I'm feeling really down. Um, because it's almost well, couldn't you have done it quicker? No, Sharon, I couldn't. Um, but I am really struggling with that. And then there's my co-worker who, like all people, I love him to pieces, but he's sitting there going, "But you haven't done this." It's not my job to do that for you. My job is to put the operating system on it and give you the box. You want special juice on settings and juice on it? That's a you thing. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they mean. It's none of my business. He's just sent me a text message saying something, and then it's just dawned on me. I copied them off his other servers. Mind you, he hasn't used the ones I built in back, July, August last year either, so that's probably why it didn't work, because I copied those, and he hadn't set it up on them either. Whatever. So I'm a little bit tired, a little bit stressed. I've done something to my hand. our new we'll get moving domain names. Our new domain name. You know how some things type out really well, and other things just don't. Well, our new domain name is a don't. It's really weird to type, and kind of towards the end of Tuesday, Wednesday. Can't remember which day it was. Yeah, let me just silence that because that should not have come out there. Yeah, hang on. Let's. Why is that not the thing I thought? Bear with me one moment, because well, the whole world has gone to poo in a shitstorm. So you were supposed to change, and you haven't. And you're not showing up on the list. That's really helpful. Said it was connected. Let me sound settings. Let me. Hasn't connected. It said one device connected. Ah, there it is. I knew it was there. Alright. But you haven't picked it up. Like, I suppose. Don't really want to mess with this. Can't restart this, I don't think. But he hasn't picked up the thing. If I do this, the whole thing's going to go to hell in a handbasket. Christy, my dear friend, can you type something else and see if it... Because I think it's going to come out the speaker anyway.
Christy_Kitty said, testing, is it working?
Bear with me one moment, let me... This is shit. To be honest, this is kind of what I've come to expect. I had a bit of a beef with Elgato this week. Bear with me 1 minute. Right. You can still hear me. Christy, please, one more message. Yes, it does. Dear Lord, so much hard work. So I had a bit of a beef with the company called Elgato this week. Now, Elgato make the camera I use. They make the stream deck, and for those who were around good few months ago, my camera, I made loads of moving things for the camera so you all can move the camera, and I had buttons to move the camera. And then it stopped working one day. And I didn't see any correlation as to why it was working the previous day and not the next. And I contacted support. This must have been 6 months ago now. And they kind of went, well, can you reinstall it? Done that. It didn't make any difference. Okay. Well, can you reinstall this? Yes, reinstalled that. Didn't make any difference. So can you reinstall it again? Okay, but, you know, fine. Just in case. So I reinstalled it. Didn't make any difference. Pretty much I got 6 more requests to reinstall it, and it was literally Einstein's definition of repeating the same act expecting a different outcome is insanity. Can we not? Here are the log files. Here's proof on that it's listening on this port, but it's looking for that port. Why is it doing that? And I floored their technical team because they just kind of dribbled into their jumpers or something. And she said, oh, I'll send it to the developer. Didn't hear anything for months. Heard something from, quote, Tony the manager, yesterday, day before. Hi, it looks like this message got lost. Well, that's you stupid. That's a bad thing to say to your customer at the best of times. And his first answer, have you tried reinstalling it? Well, of course, I've got it working since then. So I wrote back, no, I'm not going to reinstall it because I've got it working. This was what the problem was. This is why, there is a fault in your software because you are not following best practices, i.e. you're not letting the operating system do its shit. Bloody, bloody, blah. Oh, well, if you can so I'll close it then because it's working. I went, so you're not going to improve your product. Oh, well, yeah, we'll need you, but we'll need you to reinstall it to see if it works. I've already told you, you dumbass. It is working. This is how and why it wasn't working. The short answer was, for anyone who's technical, I've got Docker installed, and Docker creates an additional network, as does any virtual machine system, so hypervisor, VMware, and all the rest of it. If you have a VPN, there is a chance that this would affect it. And what it was doing is, instead of listening to all ports, listening to all IP addresses, so just listening on port whatever, it took whatever it found first as a network card, and that's not the one you made first, the one it found first, and was listening on that IP only. So, in my case, uninstalling Docker, which is kind of annoying because I wanted it, made it work again. So I'd explained all of this. Deathly silence. And then I ordered a new Stream Deck. Not that my old one was broken, but the new one does a bit more, and I haven't finished setting it up, so, I can show you, but I haven't finished setting it up. But it's got more buttons, it's got some dials on it so I can do some other things, and I have been playing with it, so, but I want this installed, I want that installed. Well, one of the pieces of software it installs didn't notice when I plugged my earphones in, so the sound was still coming out the soundbar, but because it defaults to the device on the drop down, it can't go with what's the default in Windows. Again, going against the whole point of having an operating system and setting it up so that it changes or not changes as you set it up to do so. But moreover, in the little drop down list of devices that it can send sound to, it doesn't notice that you've plugged in a new device. So you've got to quit out of it and open it up again. It's 2026, people. Can we move on from 1980? And I really don't want to write to their support department because they're shit. They'll just go, have you reinstalled it? Yeah, I don't want to go around that. Like, I'm quite capable of reinstalling it, but I only installed it yesterday. Pretty sure it shouldn't have died yet, but that's what's wrong with it. However, what it does mean and if I open this, it may got me switched off. I am going to do something now. I want to tell you what I want you to be honest and tell me what you think. So, if I click this, you shouldn't hear any difference yet, but you might have noticed a slight change. What I want you to do is tell me what you think now.
What do you think? So, he insisted on installing a voice modulator. Downstairs still sounds remarkably like me, but at the same time, if you're hearing what I think you're hearing, it should sound exceedingly different. That's one.
Did you hear a difference? If you didn't, that's also okay, but I think you should have. And this is where the delay in stream is really annoying. Yeah. There's a whole pile of options. I mean, there's more options than you can shake a stick at, to be fair. But for example,
there's this one. It's called Banana. Yeah. There's a whole, seriously, there's more than you can ever want to imagine. Yeah, that's not.
But I can also do things with this slightly differently. So, for example, let me bring up Notepad for a minute so I can go to a different thing. Where is it? Hang on. If I go to, as I said, I haven't finished setting it up because there's hours of dicking about to make this work. If I go here, for example, you're listening to music. Well, I can mute this now. I think. No. One of these. Forget which one's which, to be honest. Oh yeah, that one. So you should. I don't know. I don't think it's changed the thing that I think it did. But it should change things like I should be able to change how loud my voice is. I should be able to change how loud the music is. She says poking around. It is, as I said, I haven't finished setting it all up, but because that's clearly not doing what I thought it did. But I've been trying, is the short answer. Yeah, the music's not going to be affected by it, but if I was playing something else, so I have now got it so that if I was to play a game, I don't have to spend 3 hours trying to grab the audio out of it and all the rest of it. It's got a mixer set and you can just add and allocate it. So I've obviously got a chat one, which is the microphone. I've got... why is that on there? Hang on. It's not. That's why. But I can do things like I can listen to the music if I wanted to, for example, which is quite nice. If I raid someone, one of the biggest problems I had was that if I hit raid in OBS, I couldn't hear it. Well, I should be able to now because it's coming through this. So there is a whole pile of stuff going on, and yeah, it is a little bit weird, and all of those kind of things, but it is. I mean, it's not. I don't really need the whole kind of voice change thing. It's not really my bag so much. Yeah, it should affect it. Okay. But on the flip side of that, it is it gives me loads more buttons. I get a few more dials and things. Hey Bailey, how you doing? I get a few more dials and things to play with, and I can put some more information about the stream on my magic doodad, and keep an eye on it, and make more buttons, and do all of those kind of things. So I did want that because, well, I didn't have enough buttons, to be honest. Um, and it is kind of useful for many other things too. Um, I'm just noticing that for some reason it's not doing that because I deliberately said it. Oh no, Bailey! Oh, I'm so sorry. Um, Redundancy always feels like a kick in the balls. Let's truly be honest. Um, Even though it's not personal, allegedly, it feels personal. Um, because your entire life revolves around needing the money to do stuff, and the money source has said, yeah, actually, we don't need that. Well, it's all right and nice for you, but kind of we do, you know. Um, so, oh Bailey, I'm desperate. I'm so sorry. Um, I hope you find something soon. Um, yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I've been made redundant before now. No, but even so, it's still, if they're not getting rid of, if they're not shutting in an entire office or warehouse or whatever, if anyone stays, it can feel personal when, let's say they halve your team, and the half of you leaving can often almost have grudges against the remainders because, well, what made them so special? It is very common that it feels personal. Um, I've been made redundant on the grounds that I worked myself out of a job. That felt very personal. So because I was too good at it, they didn't want me anymore. Because they didn't want to have to pay for something that they didn't really need, even though there was still plenty I could have done, and they needed it. Oh no, 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 no! We'll get someone else in to do that. So yeah, um, yeah. I'm sorry, baby. Anyway, um, you missed me doing my voice mod thing. Well, you didn't really miss it. Let's truly be honest. Um, it's not. Well, this is it. You've got a bit of fair warning. It's not like they took you into a room today and went, ah, gardening leave, goodbye. Because we call it gardening leave over here, but basically go home. We'll pay you till the end of we'll pay you your notice period, but get out, stay out, don't touch, go, don't talk to nobody, don't, you know. Um, do I? That's interesting. I'm glad someone said. Thank you for saying, Bailey. Shouldn't they? Should be straight up because nothing's turned on. Well, there is one answer to that. Hang on. Oops, didn't want to do that one. Hang on, let me put that back. Do this, click that. Go here, do the other. Let me change this then to... Is it any better now? Don't know if it really makes any difference, but tell me if it's different now. Right, oh, answers that one then. I hate computers sometimes. Right, so having resolved quality issues, and having got some of the usual weekly bitch out of the way, guess it's time to dink. Oh, there's a dog in the way. Right. Don't put your foot there, it's already going to go to sleep, I can feel it. I have to say my heart is not in this today. So, I think it's just because I've worked really hard all week and they're a bunch of ingrates. So, I know they'd be really hurt if they heard that, but as I pulled 2 weeks work into about 3 or 4 days, yeah, feeling slightly underappreciated, especially when we were told yesterday, oh, everyone needs to stop doing overtime. It's, you know, and admittedly they then rescinded it a little while later, but we'd all gone home at that point. And it was kind of, well, what about the hours I've already done this week? Oh, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I've already done them. So yeah, no, one person said thank you, and I was slightly pissed by that. So, because I'd originally said it could take me 2 weeks, and it could have done very easily. For I was doing something I have not done for 21 years. So and technically have never done. So this is going to sound really odd given what I do, but although I build servers a lot, I haven't built a physical server for a very long time. I've only ever built virtual ones, and from a template that somebody else had already made. Now, it's not that I'm not capable, because I'm more than capable. In fact, well, the fact that it took me 4 days to do, well, what my co-worker took 6 months and didn't actually finish. So let's you know, give some credit here. But, I've never built Oracle Linux boxes before. Because, well, it wasn't around before I joined the company. And my co-worker always built them because the company had a real good habit of almost waiting till I was going on holiday and going, oh, we need some boxes. And so my co-worker would do it. And I didn't mind because it's kind of boring. But it meant, technically, I'd never done it before. And as he left, next to no instructions, before he left, I was kind of winging it. Now, obviously, I'm not stupid. I have built things before. So I knew what I needed to achieve. I was just a little bit unsure how to go about it. And his instructions were zero help. So, yeah. That's what I did this week. I did that in record time. And not one person says thank you. In fact, if anything, they complained. It's just... It's all supposed to be hyper mega urgent, which is fine. Which is why I stayed up till 1:30 copying files so Texty co-worker could start his crap. But it wasn't until nearly 11 o'clock this morning that they actually agreed he can log into the servers to do it, because the thing we normally use to log into the servers isn't ready yet. Well, then it wasn't hyper mega urgent that I built my servers if you're not ready for anyone to log into them yet. Oh, but we need him doing his stuff. Well, then you should have got the logging in shit ready, surely. It's just been that kind of week, so I could do without a lot. I am looking forward to takeout for dinner. I did sneak an extra takeout this week. I had a little takeout earlier this week. I had fish and chips. But that was because I was working, so... But... Oh, and the other reason I was annoyed at Elgato for their stuff, and interestingly, apparently their voice mod makes my Yes, I was going to say, I found out just before the Streamlet started that Chuck Norris had died. We all know he's not died. He's taken over the role of death, and he's now going around the world killing people. If you've ever been a gamer, the amount of Chuck Norris jokes in virtually any game is ridiculous. That and Leroy Jenkins, which doesn't mean a lot over here in the UK, but we still use it. But the guy who was Leroy Jenkins doesn't really mean a lot to us. But the kamikaze going in and getting everybody killed does. So, yeah, Chuck Norris has taken over the role of death and is now going around the world killing people. So, because he fought death and won, and now he's taken over the job. So, had to happen at some point. I think you had to be an 80s kid to truly appreciate Chuck Norris, though. Exactly. It was. I streamlined the process of food so that all I had to do was eat it. Yeah. Hyper efficiency. Yeah. Yeah, poor old Chuck Norris. I mean, I'm not a nosy person, but I am at the same time. It's kind of weird in that I won't say I feel sorry for celebrities because, well, they strive to be popular. So, you know, let's not pretend that this was not their aim. But it is difficult for them when they're ill or whatever that, you know, everything becomes public information and that they don't really get a lot of privacy in some regards. But that is what you strived for. You strive to be headline news. Well, so you are. Anyway, I do hope for him. I do, you know, I always hope that they at least got to have a, you know, die in their sleep kind of moment. Rather than the hours of endless agony, you know, kind of deal. Because, well, everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves to have, you know, a bit of dignity at the end, as much as you can. I mean, let's truly be honest. There is no dignity in your final moments. Do not be under that illusion. However, you want them to have as much as they can get. You know. It's like your furry friends. You know, there is no good way for them to go. There is no arguably good way for your friend to depart. But you want it to be as nice and as peaceful, which of course is why we do take them to the vet for that final one-way trip. Not because we want to get rid of them, far from, but we want them to have some dignity, we want them to have some quality of life. We choose not to drag it out to the bitter end, unlike humans. Where, you know, basically, if there is any potential of keeping you breathing and going, they're all over that. And I'm not a fan of that. 5, 6, 7. I mean, I do get it. No one wants people to go. No one wants anyone to go. Well, actually, that's not true. There are people we wouldn't miss, but they're not usually the people that we get to have the vote in. So, but I do feel sorry for. You know, it's like when you hear that, you know, quite often you haven't heard about an actor for a while, and then it'll be, oh, so-and-so has died after, you know, 3 years of battling this. And you're kind of like, oh, that's where they went. Some of them do not get to have that kind of quietness. So I assume Chuck Norris did, because, well, I don't think anyone knew he was particularly ill, so unless he just kind of stopped one day, which is also quite possible after it. So yes, do not be alarmed at the taping. It's just because my thumb's annoyed. But actually, it's this hand that's got the most annoyance. But there's nothing I can do for it to cheer it up. I've been trying to cheer it up for a couple of days now, and it's just not having it. As I said, it's something about our new domain name. My hand does not like typing it, and it kind of really took umbrance at it. I've forgotten which way I was going with this. Let me sort out the bottom. There we go. So I expect it to be quite objectionable about today, as a whole. It's just something about typey, and there's a spot from here to here that just like someone stuck a cattle prod on it, and I know technically it's probably RSI, but I don't believe in it, so, you know. I'm sorry, but anyone who ever did proper old typing, surely that of all things would give us RSA. I think one of the biggest problems we've got as we have got more electronic things, more toys, more gadgets, more whatever, is that instead of using all of our muscles, we use a few muscles. Now, while I've got a really sore thumb, which is what this is about, it's almost like texting thumb. It's actually picking stuff up thumb. So the fact that you put your hand underneath, thumb on top, so it's actually supporting most of the weight and pressing down to stop it just falling off the end of your fingers. That's actually what's upset my thumb. It's this bottom joint down here, and it's really, really sore. But this one, I've got my sore finger here, which I get quite a lot, but I've got this weird pain, and it's not really in my arm here, so hence it's not true RSI, but it is from typing. And you know, if you think of how we all type, there's not a lot of movement in that. And because there is not a lot of movement, it's a bit like being fat. And I'll say this as a pudgier person in the world. If you lead a sedentary life, like I do, because I sit here all day, working or otherwise, your body is less accustomed to doing work. Well, the moment you kind of ask it anything, it's a bit much because it's not used to it. Whereas, if you lived in some, you know, kind of third world area and you had to trek 5 miles to fetch water, and you made everything by hand and you worked hard in manual labour, whether that's, you know, tending animals, children, creating things. So although I do this for fun, I don't do this all the time. And so it's not like, you know, if I was doing weaving and I was producing, you know, I don't know, 50 blankets a week or whatever, your whole body is used to doing that. Well, our old domain name was really quite nice and rolled off the keyboard really well. No one doesn't. And I must have typed it about 500 times this week, and my body is objected to it. And that is pretty much all it is. It's going to have to get used to it because there's going to be more of them. So, but I've tried everything. Tried anti-inflammatories. I've tried, not pills, but I've got some anti-inflammatory gel thing because it really... I turned into a dog. I was yelping every time I typed with my hand. Now, it's not that bad now, but it still hurts. But I'm glad today was a half day, so I don't have to do any more of that. Because I can just not type for the rest of the day, really. So, yeah. That's definitely a thing. hear snoring noises, which I'm sure you can, that's roaring. There's a new game out that I tried called Crimson Desert, and I kind of liked it, but I found it really hard to play. So, given pain of hand, it's quite a slow-paced game in a lot of respects. So, in the 90 odd minutes that I played, I'd barely done anything. But I got to the point where you get to the first village and you have to challenge some dude to an arm wrestle. And it says, mash button E. The more you mash button E, you know, the more pressure you're putting in the arm wrestle. So there's me, right? And it kept bringing up this window. And because it's kind of still arguably the tutorial at this point, it's not labelled a tutorial, but it's still kind of hand-holding you and hasn't taught you all the things yet. I don't know what this thing was. Well, I do, but I don't, because I've asked something. And it would bring up a little wheel with a big R in the middle. And the wheel was just all white, and, well, mashing E then stopped till you got rid of it. Well, you're supposed to be mashing E. Well, for all the times it stops, of course, you're losing. So after like 6 goes, I still haven't managed to win this arm wrestle. And what it is in the immortal words of the internet. Let me see if I've still got it on my screen. I don't think I do, actually. No, I don't. It lost it. But I asked it why it did that. You know, well, what is this R thing while I'm pressing it? And it goes, there is a problem with the game in that it doesn't pick up on key presses as you press them, and due to a delayed reaction occasionally, it basically hallucinates what you press. So even though I was mashing E and no other key, it had decided I pressed Control R. Well, they're not alike. I mean, I can understand maybe I tapped R by mistake, because it's next to it. Get that. But I was nowhere near the control key. And, of course, as a result of doing that, I kept losing the thing. So I've ended up going for a refund. I mean, it's a shame, because I would have liked to play it. Because it is actually quite an interesting looking game. I mean, it's not exactly 100% my kind of game. But it's certainly one I could have wasted plenty of hours in and had some enjoyment out of. I mean, it wasn't cheap either. It's quite an expensive game for what it is. But it does say when you first load it up that it would be better with a controller. But I am shit with the controller because I'm not used to it. But also, everyone had said it's really shit with the controller. So if it's better with the controller, well, how shit's the shit bit then? If you get my drift. So yeah, it's I have refunded that one, so I'm feeling slightly disappointed in that, because that could have been a good thing to lose a weekend into. But never mind, won't be doing that then. That doesn't look right. That distinctly doesn't look right. Show you what I mean. This thread here is one thread too many. Let me... One, two, three. Yeah, it's kind of gone weird somewhere around about here. So what I've done is... Dog, you're not helping. I need to undo this. Something's not right. So let's undo this. Oh, maybe that was it. Maybe that was all that was wrong with it. Yeah, I think that was all that was wrong with it. Got wrapped around a pin somehow. Oh, let's put it back then. But hey, we noticed before we committed and went on and made... Hello, how you doing? Yeah, I haven't been doing many of my late night ones, to be honest. Unfortunately, due to workload stresses and general malaise, for want of a better word, I have only been doing Friday streaming. And somehow even Fridays feels like a hard job, and I've got a whole afternoon, so you know it's not that I don't want to, but it's definitely just proving to be a bit harder work than I wanted. So I have cut down the amount of work that I do here. Oh, lucky you. There is vague sunshine here. Not that there's any in my garden because of the big ass tree, but there is some sunshine. And I'm kind of surprised actually that two certain bags of fur are not out doing what they do best in sunshine, which of course is sleeping in it. Oh dear, the big yawn. Oh, sneak. I have this little black thing that's living under my armpit at the moment. Generally in the shape of Rory. I got a replacement duvet for the blanket. It was cheap. I bought a replacement duvet for the blanket I used to have for napping on the couch or feeling cold or whatever. And then I bought a fur fabric cover for it. So, don't know if I can easily get you a corner. Yes, I can probably get you this corner. Except there's a dog on it. But there it is, there's a corner. So, I've got this fur fabric cover for the duvet. And it is a considerable hit. We love the fur fabric covered duvet. So it shows you how much, when there is warm patches of sun they could be sleeping in, they're in here, hiding amongst the fur fabric duvet. So, it's going to look like death in a couple of weeks, to be honest. Because fur fabric like that never lasts well. Just doesn't... Goes all bobbly and flat and crap looking. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, it bugs me that I'm not streaming much, because it also means, well, this isn't growing very much. And we've got up to a reasonable speed, and you know, we were almost doing, I'm not going to say an inch a day, but it was kind of getting there, and it felt like we were, you know, it felt like we were making good progress. And now it's been a couple of months and we've barely moved a couple of inches, and it's frustrating because I you know, it's not like the squares when I realised that I was never going to enjoy it the way I thought it might. I mean, although in my mind I knew how it was going to turn out, my mind was kind of, it niggled away in the back of my mind somewhere, and my mind kind of went, you know what, actually, you know how like people get cold feet at getting married and all the rest of it. It was, you know, it's not like that. I still very much want to see this done. I still want to see the end result. I'm still, you know, very much enthusiastic about making it. I will say slightly less than when I started, but that's mainly just because I am so tired. And it's no more than that. I'm just so much more tired that I don't have the energy. And I've always been a bit faddy with my crafting. Not, you know, I'm always doing something. But, you know, I'll go off something for a little bit and come back to it. But because this is quite an epic kind of level of commitment, it doesn't really lend itself well to that, which is why, of course, I'm doing it and why I'm videoing it. Because I need my brain to remember, and the next time it goes, hey, let's make this hyper mega huge fat colossal universal level style thing. You know, let's make, you know, knit a jumper for the world kind of thing, right? Let's not. And you know, it is that kind of moment. But it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that it's that little bit much at the moment. So hence only doing it on a Friday. I mean, to be honest, I haven't managed to do much of my cross stitch thing that I was doing. I haven't done any tatting for a while, because I was doing a bit of that when I was not on stream. I literally haven't had time to do anything. I basically seem to eat, sleep, and go to work. And my bank balance is not reflecting that as well as I would like. So yeah, it is a struggle. But yeah. But as I've always said, I record and do these more for my own diary purposes than I do, sadly, for you guys. But I invite you to join me on my journey into insanity. And, you know, come visit along the way. So these really are more my diary of making the curtain than, you know, hey, let's do a stream on how to make lace. Because that's kind of not what these are. I mean, there have been. We've learnt how to make bobbins. I still really love these bobbins. So that's not a problem. But it is that kind of... But it's just the fact that they're not growing. But then I haven't got time to make them grow. But then, to be honest, this is exactly the problem we've got at work. This hyper mega hugely important project that's got to be finished by the end of the month. But no one's prepared to put the time in to make it happen. Well, then it's not happening, love. You know, it's... Thank you. Lurkers are always welcome. But yeah, do feel free to craft along, even if you're not doing the same stuff. Doesn't matter. In days of yore, we all, you know, women in the village would get together and do crafty things. And, you know, gender aside, we, you know, because we're not proud these days, there is no gender, you know, crafting is not a woman's job after all. So, you know, pull up a craft and join in the fun. Whether you're painting, making some false nails, hammering some wood, join in, do your thing. Because we can. Because a lot of the thing about crafting is the semi-community part of it. You know, back in the day, it was a communal thing. It was not something you did at home. It was only the rich people who sat in a large Victorian window staring out over the grounds of their palatial palace. Everyone else did it as a group, like down the town hall. You know, spinners would bring their wheels and you know, there were actual spinning wheels that had two heads on so that two of you could work on the same wheel and have a conversation. They were designed specifically so two people could work, or not on necessarily the same thing, but two people could work sitting next to each other having a good chat. Then there's the stories about how lace making and crochet and knitting was used to send messages, and it's not a sit at home and do on your own thing. I mean, it can be. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not that you can't, obviously. But then it's a bit like me playing MMOs. I play MMOs. I love them. But then I solo and don't talk to people. Well, I do talk to people, but kind of not as part of the game. So I generally am found answering questions in out-of-character chat. Although I still tend to be slightly in character. But it is one of those weird things is that I don't agree with people. You, people. But at the same time, it's designed to be heavily social. Well, I'm not heavily social, so none of my characters are. I don't know how to play that, you know. I have tried very hard on occasions to be a bit more group worthy. I usually fail. And I usually end up with a bad group anyway, so that never helps. It's right, my thumb's hurting. It's up here at the moment, which is unusual because usually it's down here. Give it a wiggle. Oh, wiggledy wiggledy. Right, let's move you around and put you in there. Like that. And then we want you over here. You. So. Pile of games. Hopefully. Yep. Yeah, I spent, well, nearly 24 hours downloading a game that I didn't get on with, which is slightly disappointing. Reminds me a bit of the whole Baldur's Gate scenario. Again, I didn't hate Baldur's Gate the game, I just didn't like some aspects, but I didn't like it strongly enough that I didn't want it. I didn't want to play it anymore. Fortunately, I didn't pay a lot for that, so that was alright. Problem is these days is that games used to be 25 or 35 quid. Well, now they're 50 and 70 quid. And I'm sorry, but if I'm paying 50 quid for it, I want it to be better. Now, I do strongly believe the game Crimson Desert has a lot of time you can spend and waste in it. So in terms of if you get on with it, it is very good value for money. But if you don't get on with it, well, it's just an expensive pile of crap. Hence, the reviews are coming in a bit mixed, because those who can look past some of the crapness and see the beauty within are raving about it, because, well, should they fix a couple of bugs, I'm sure it'll be a lot better. But like my arm wrestle, you must complete it. But I almost can't. Well, then it's a shit. It doesn't matter if there's like 300 hours worth of gameplay in there. If I can't get past the first 90 minutes, then, well, it's no good to me, is it? And it's a shame, because it's kind of a weird mix of a lot of games that I've played. Now, obviously, lots of games have similarities, so anything that's an action RPG, well, you generally go around slaughtering screenfuls of mobs in one foul swing. But if it's an MMO, well, you generally pick the buggers off one by one gently, and take a while on doing it, and sit there for 3 hours camping a named mob that might spawn. So they all have their own kind of feels. But this particular one really strongly reminds me of Island Skies. Island of Insights, where on Island of Insights, it was purely puzzles, right? But the whole graphics and the way lots of things works is very much Island of Insights, except there's fighting in it. So the only real difference between Islands of Insights and this one is technically there is a bit more story. I say technically because it's not really... It's kind of drawn out and boring, but it's a story. And some fighting. And there's quite a lot of fighting. But it's a bit action RPG in its fighting. In that, you know, I think the third fight you have, there's like 12 mobs all landing on you, and you are likely to survive. As long as you're not asleep at the chair, you'll probably survive. And so it is very much a Island of Insight with lots of weird puzzles where you've got to line up this and line up that, or push this or push that, or jump from here to here, and, you know, click on 20 of these in a certain time, or whatever it is, right? All of those kind of, you know, puzzles that they get you doing in computers. But at the same time, there is a story and fighting, and there is a main quest and a bajillion kind of side quests that you can do. So, should you get past the stupid arm wrestle that I couldn't, there was a lot for you to do. But if you get stuck on a bit, like I did, there isn't really a lot you can do because, well, you haven't got to the bit where you're free to roam and do what you want yet. And that's always been my problem with a lot of games is, I mean, when Trev and I were married, we used to play Toca Touring Car because, well, we kind of like that kind of thing. But we couldn't play against each other because we probably would have killed each other. Because, well, back when it happened, anyone who was a gamer might have worked this out, but possibly never really thought about it. If you're playing, say, a racing game where you're holding a button to go forward and then you're pulling a button to go back, right, to slow down, you are constantly providing input. The game was running on hardware that did not run fast enough for what it needed. As a result, if you change to brake, say, just after they've changed to brake, it doesn't notice that you've braked yet. So you go ploughing into the corner 100 mile an hour, turn into a little baked bean tin by the side of the road, but you know you pressed that button, but it didn't happen. And it just, we found that basically whoever got to the corner and braked first, so that doesn't mean you got to the corner first, but it was the person who braked for the corner first was going to be the one who stayed on the corner, or the one who didn't. This leads to arguments, because when you get frustrated because you're constantly crashing in the corner, well, try braking. I'm fucking braking. You end up with one of those kind of arguments, right? Well, try braking it. I am fucking braking. Well, brake sooner. I am. But because you were ahead of me, you braked before I did, and, well, I got no chance. So there was a lot of that. And the moment, of course, you get to the corner first, and then they can't brake, you're cheating. Those kind of arguments. So it really, the only time Trev and I truly rowed was over to Toca Touring Car, and we were ready to hatch it. There would have been physical violence, but we both walked away. We did actually break up over it briefly for about an hour, and then kind of went, we're being stupid, aren't we? Yeah, we are. But we were ready to commit violence on behalf of this, so we vowed we would never play against each other again, and we didn't. So we never did actually row about anything else, and life was good. I'm not saying we didn't disagree, but we never had a row about it. But it was just one of those weird things where this game reminded me of that, in that if you're pressing a button, well, it feels like it's not recognising you pressed another button. It had that kind of non-responsive, not quite right feel to it. And yeah, the fact that I'm mashing E and it hallucinates that I pressed Control and R, which, given my left hand, would be in extreme agony from doing that, I wasn't. Now, I can definitely agree, I might have tapped R by mistake, pretty sure I didn't, but I might have caught, mash, I might have tapped R, but there was no way I was anywhere near the control key, because I was doing this. No other fingers were involved. There was no control in this. So, it's just, yeah. But it's a shame, because I think I could have had a lot of fun. But I do think they're going to get quite a lot of reviews that are basically that kind of level of, it probably would have been fun if only I could have played it. If only the controls weren't crap. And someone else whined that the water was too shiny. Dear God, people, have you seen water? It's wet and shiny. I do agree that the graphics on this game are really quite impressive and do not lag. So they've done a really good job with that. But it is kind of weird that there's a common theme in games these days, which is that everything's either completely matte or shinier than a mirror. There's no kind of in the middle. And for some reason, you know, this game keeps that up. But people were going, oh, it looks like a really old game. The graphics are terrible. Are you looking at what everyone else is looking at? The detail in the distance, because normally in games you get, quite often you get really detailed near, then you then get this kind of phasing out approach, and you can often see that like this, there's a band, and if you're in the right place, you can see literally like a semicircle of change where it goes from really great to slightly less great. And you can physically see it, usually best seen in grass and flowers and, you know, that kind of area, because you've got a very repetitive texture. And then you see, literally, you'll see this is just green and fuzzy, whereas these are actual grass fronds. Or this is just green, and then suddenly there are flowers in this bit. But in the distance, you know, there are some great cinematically looking, you know, backdrops and distant shots. One of the first things you do is you end up on a bridge, and actually the NPC goes, you know, let's go across this bridge really slowly because the view is so good. And you do look from this bridge, and there's a waterfall one side and like this huge valley the other. And there is no scrimping on detail. It's not like in the background there's like 3 rocks maybe, and it's all kind of blurry grey. No, you're almost picking out leaves on a tree from 20 miles. You can see a long way, you can see a lot of detail, and yet the frame rate doesn't drop. So they've done a really good job on that. I just wish they'd done the same amount of effort on the controls. Now maybe it was never really designed for PC, and so the PC keyboard and mouse control was, you know, last minute. But if you've written a controller well enough, doesn't matter what the input is. You just pick that input is this action and link it up. I didn't check what engine they used, to be honest. I will, but we'll go and look. It is. I am guessing. Actually. I was going to say it's Unreal, but I don't think it is. Don't know that it is. I think it is. Well, it's all in Korean, so. Well, I say it's Korean. I've heard it's Korean, and it's all in kanji of some variety, so. It's all in squiggle. I don't read squiggle. Mainly because there's plenty of varieties of squiggle, but I don't read squiggle. Yeah. I'd say it's Unreal. So it's a decent, you know, it's decent quality. It's you know, it's not a bad game. It's just got bad controls on it. And maybe they'll fix it. Maybe next week it will all be perfect and everyone will be raving about it. In which case I might try again. But for now, nah. Not gonna waste my weekend having even more frustrations. Got enough to be dealing with without making them in my spare time for shits and giggles. You know, these things are supposed to be fun. And I think that's always been my problem. But back to the Tocker thing, one of the problems both Trevor and I always had with Tocker and any of those Formula Ones or whatever it was that you'd start a race and there'd be like 20 cars on the track. You'd come third, right? And then you go to the next track and you'd come, say, third again. You're not allowed to play the next track because you weren't in the top 2. Well, that's not how Tocker works. It's not how Formula 1 works. It's not how any of them works. You're allowed to come last in every race, thanks. But it would block you then from playing any more of the game. But it meant that if you sucked at one of the first 2 tracks, for any reason, it's just not, you know, one you were good at, even if you were going to be great at all the others, that's it, you can't play them now. Not without cheating. And I've always hated when games do that. I get that, you know, you can't just walk through every game. That would be kind of pointless. But at the same time, when you've just paid 50 quid for a game, I paid for the game. I don't want it to be, you know, if I want to go and, if I don't want to do this first track because I hate it, I don't like the, you know, it's a terrible layout, well, then I should be allowed to skip that one and do a different one. And this game's kind of got the same problem for me in that because you've got to do this arm wrestle, and for whatever reason I seem to be incapable, you know, as I say, I don't believe this is entirely me. I'm not going to say a lot of it isn't. You know, I'm sure some of it is me, but I'm very capable of mashing keys very effectively, usually quite quickly. So I'm pretty sure this one's not really me. If it had been a £25 game, I'd probably give it. It's like everything. If you spend, you know, £2 on a pair of scissors, you don't have high expectations for them. As long as they'll cut something, you're probably quite happy about it. If you spent £200 on a pair of scissors, those damn things better be semi-automated and making you a cup of tea in the background. It's the... I mean, technically it shouldn't matter, but we all know that it does. The more you've paid for it, the better quality you expect from it. Or the more amount of it you expect, depending on the type of thing that it is. Now, we all know that you can go to really expensive restaurants and get, like, you know, 1p with a fig leaf, right? But the truth of the matter is that 1p better be perfect. You don't necessarily object to paying the money for a good quality thing, but if you get a low quality thing for the good quality price, you're kind of miffed. And if this game had cost me 25 quid, not 50 quid, I probably would have persevered a bit longer, but you only get 2 hours to say to Steam, this sucks donkey balls, I want my money back. So at 93 minutes, I cut my losses and said, yeah, no thanks. Now, I have seen somewhere potentially buying it for 28 quid. If they fix it, I'll probably do that. Because for 28 quid, yeah, okay. And I might not be able to refund that, but at 28 quid, if I can get a bit further because they fixed that bit, who knows, I might spend 300 hours in it and love it. But I'm not going to spend 50 quid on it. It's too much. And I had the same problem with Diablo 4. I got bitten by the Diablo 4 problems. So, when Diablo 4 was due to come out, before we'd seen any of it, I was really all hyped up for that. So I bought, you know, the big Monty package and was like, yeah, early access, yeah, I want to get into this, yeah, it's going to be great. And then I've been playing Diablo Immortals on my phone. It was a bit shit, but I've been playing it on my phone. and you got to like level 20 and the game kind of petered out, right? But it was only kind of like a trial. The rest of it was all about kind of arena stuff, and I'm not a PvPer, so the game kind of petered out. Well, when Diablo 4 came out, yeah, great, install, download 3 billion megabytes of crap, install, run. This looks familiar. The first 20 levels of Diablo 4 were basically the same as Diablo Immortal. Almost to the inch. And it was like, but I've done this. I don't remember that being a trailer. And I look back thinking, maybe I missed that was a trailer. No, it's sold as a completely different product. So the first 20 levels were basically the same, but you then got your horse and life was good and you went off to do other things. So, okay, I'll forgive that. And then, you know, I kind of finished it and it was kind of like, yeah, whatever. It didn't take too long to finish, like 3 or 4 days. Which, again, if you just spent 100 quid, you kind of wanted a bit more than 3 or 4 days out of it. I mean, I did spend, you know, many hours, so in value per hour, it wasn't horrendous. But at the same time, it wasn't good. I've certainly spent a lot less money and got a lot more for it, of enjoyment. Anyway, having done all of that, I kind of stopped playing because, well, I kind of completed it and there wasn't really anything to do. So, went off and played something else for a while. And then they released, like, you know, the next season because games have really got into doing seasonal drops and where they make some semi-seasonal content like Valentine's Day and Christmas and all this kind of rot. They do kind of seasons, but it's not quite that level, but it's that sort of thing, you know. So they did a season, and I suck at gameplay, by the way. Please do not think I'm any good at it. But when I finished that season in about 3 hours, and it's kind of like, was that it? You're going to make us wait like 6 months for 3 hours worth of content that was actually kind of boring. Okay. And then the next one came out. Maybe it's, we've addressed all the concerns. Oh, this one's so much better. No, even duller. And then the expansion came out. Can't remember if it was 3 or 4, but eventually the expansion came out. Oh, well, it's an expansion. It'll be great. So, I paid for the expansion because, of course, it was a paid expansion. It was another 100 quid. Oh, fuck off, Steve. But it was difficult because you got a new class, okay, well, that was totally overpowered, but the actual content was shit. The new area that they'd brought in wasn't very big at all, barely worth the effort kind of level. The gameplay just kind of was lacking. And the new stuff was basically identical to the last season of stuff. You know, it was a bit like, we're collecting tokens. Now we're collecting idols. Yeah, but you're still collecting shit. Doesn't really matter what you called it. You just click. But literally, it was the same shit with a different name, right? Hello, Rory. And you did apply it marginally differently, but not a lot. So they had like Age of the Vampire, where you did things and you then got like kind of vampiric. Rory, what is the matter? Oh, does little man need a hog? Sorry, I've got a dog in my lap. What's the matter? What's the matter? No. You've been very clingy this last week, haven't you? It's like you're trying to tell me something, but I'm not picking it up on what. Isn't it? Am I being stupid? But you seem so content when you're getting a hug, so I'm not entirely sure that you're actually telling me something. You're just milking it. You're milking it. I think so. You also know it's Nugget Day, don't you? Yes, you do. Oh, and they had nuggets earlier this week, because I'm not mean, I did get them nuggets. Because we were all having a grumpy day. Yes. I shouted at you all when you were making too much noise. Yes, I did. So I got you nuggets when I had Chippy. Yes, I did. I got you big box of nuggets. You got 10 nuggets instead of 8. Between them, by the way. They don't actually eat 10 nuggets. I'm not that mad. But you had nuggets. What's the matter, little man? What's the matter? He's actually almost started speaking. He's been grumbling. Normally you only hear her. Now, I'm not going to say he's been loud, because that's definitely not the case. But he has been kind of like... kind of noises. And it's kind of weird, because, well, normally you don't make a single sound, do you? No. Stop licking my hand. My man. Stop licking. Stop. That's what happens. Next time you yawn, I'm going to poke your tongue. Funny that stopped you, isn't it? Can't poke your tongue. Can I? Can I poke your tongue? No, don't lick my hand. Annoying animal. Very annoying. But I love you anyway. I do. At least your ears are warm now. It was a bit cold outside when you went out earlier and you got cold ears. It's warmer out there now. The sun's out. It is. You could go outside. You could. You could go outside and sit in a warm spot. Because I know you want to. Because you and your sister have the spring bean. Dogs, in case, for those of you who are not dog owners, dogs get what you can only describe as the spring bean. The moment it starts to warm up, they get really excited and over enthusiastic, and then as summer comes, it kind of wears off again. But you get the spring bean, don't you? And you have zoomies, and no matter how old they are, they try and have zoomies. Hello, what's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter? It's like you're trying to sit here and have a conversation with me and I'm not listening properly. Isn't it? You keep licking me. It is slightly annoying. It is. It is very annoying. Yes. He's been doing that, if you heard that. What's the matter? What's the matter? Why don't you go sleepy? You're already having a hug, my man. You can't get closer. Other than me swallowing you whole, you can't get any closer. Oh, you're falling off the couch. Come on, you go sleepy there. Come on. No, don't rock back forwards in the way. You go sleepy. Go sleep. Oh, go to sleep. Right, where was I? Right. Animals. So yeah, bless them. But yeah, they have the spring bean. And he's definitely got the spring bean. Well, actually, they both have. But he sits there and kind of humps to you. And I don't know whether he's trying to tell me something or not, but it feels like he is. Thank you for sneezing on my butt. I feel so much better for that. That looks too many. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's not... Oh. Oh, oh! The other thing was that when I got my new Stream Deck, the outer box was good, perfectly intact. Everything looked perfect and good. Opened it up. Inside was the Stream Deck box. It's pre-opened. Having paid quite a lot of money, I got a pre-opened box. Now, on opening the inside, not knowing exactly what would be on the inside. I mean, obviously I knew the Stream Deck was in it and I'm not stupid, but didn't know, you know, whether it should be wrapped in anything or have protective films on anything, you know, that kind of stuff. One of the buttons looked not like it had a fingerprint on it, because I'm not that petty, but it looked like it had a dirty fingerprint on it. It was almost like, I don't know, someone who'd, I don't know, a bit like if you've been handing cake mix and you press a button, there'd be a bit of cake mix on it. It was that kind of, it wasn't cake mix looking, but it was a bit like cake mix, and it was kind of a grey, dusty kind of clump of something on one of the buttons. And there was no protective film on anything. And so I wrote to them, and it was kind of like, this box was opened. And I did get a thing back going, yeah, we're aware a load of the boxes were open, but we don't believe they've been tampered with. You know, if you change your mind in 60 days, you can send it back. But it's a brand new product. It shouldn't be pre-opened. But I suppose one of the few things you could do is check the number of the box matches the number of the, the serial number of the thing. I suppose that could be a thing. I wonder if I can see that from here. Hang on. Six oh three one two. 60312 is the number on the box, so it is the thing in the box, so it would strongly suggest that it is untampered with. But it like everything, it's that simple, but it makes you question whether it is, exactly what you said, or some cheap knockoff someone's substituted so that they nicked your good one and you got some, cheap lookalike. But I don't think so. Reasonably confident it is the genuine article. Certainly seems to work, so from that point of view I can't argue. But there's a lot of setting up to do to make full use of it, which obviously I haven't got round to yet because it only arrived late yesterday and I've been at work, so haven't really had the time to fiddle. The only thing I did do was export the old setup so that I could have the same setup on this one. So I haven't got any really new buttons or anything. Ow! Oh, my foot! I'm going to sleep. Poor foot. Some of these because you are the furthest back, so we should borrow a bunch of you. There you go. Oops, come in undone. somewhat bent pin, look. Let's cast that one aside. Don't need to be quite that bent, that's a little much. Amen. Hello, little miss. Is that the mating call of the little miss? To get her attention? Is it? Hey, I know I gave your brother a big hug. I did. You're just too enthusiastic. That's the problem. You just don't know when to put the brakes on, do you? No. You're a good girl, mostly. But you're just a bit annoying because you're always a bit in your face and a little bit over the top. That's the problem. And now you're falling off. How did you fall off? You fell off a cushion you decided to stand on. Seriously? See, this is what makes you a problem. You can't even stand on a cushion. And now you're back. Seriously, dog. What? I know it's nearly 4 o'clock. Yes, I'm aware. And I know that you want nuggies. I do. But it's not nugget time yet. No, it's not. It is not nugget time. No. No nuggets. No. We've got to order nuggets. We do. I know I've got some in the freezer. That's not the point. It is not nugget time. It is Friday, however. Yes, it is nugget day. It is, yes. But not now. Did you say that to me? Did you really just say that to me? I need to find Hefflump. There he is. Hello. It's Hefflump. Hello. Hello, Rory. What did she call me? Did she call me rude things? Did she? Have you come? Oh, Rory! Little man! Oh. Oh. Chewy. I'm being licked to death. Hey, me. Oh, Amy, stop messing with the letterbox. You do it to wind your brother up because you want a hug. And he's just slobbed on my glasses. Yes, he did. Little one. You can't call me names like that. You can't. You really, really can't. No. I do love you very much. But you're annoying. You're annoying as the most annoying dog ever. You really are. You've totally up the stuff on the couch. Look at the state of it. It's got a cover on it because you rack it up so much. And it's coming off, isn't it? No, don't look at me like that. I haven't done a thing to it. Rory, no, can we not, little man? I know you're polite and you ask gently. And you are generally nicer to hug than your sister. But I am trying to do something here. This is not dog fest. I know you've all got the bean. And what you really want is to go out and play ball in the garden. Yeah. It is. I think, to be honest, people, that is actually a good plan. For me to go and play ball with the dog in the garden. The fact that the lawn needs cutting something chronic is by the by. I think it is time to go and sit in the garden with the dogs on the end of a sunny afternoon. It's not overly warm out there that I'm aware of, but we'll go outside for a little bit, and we you know, make the use of a bit of sunshine, and not walk in the dark, and we'll go out and play ball, and we'll go and sniff things and be on things and chase each other. Well, you'll chase each other around. I ain't fucking running after you. And yes, I think to be kind to my fluffies, because I've been a bit grumpy for the last couple of weeks. So I think while there's still some sunshine out in the garden, not a lot, because there wasn't a lot in the first place, but while there is still some sunshine out there and it's still vaguely warm, although not that warm. How warm is it, out of interest? Don't suppose you're gonna... No, you're not gonna do that, are you? Just useless thing. It is allegedly 14 degrees out there, so not exactly warm, but there's been worse. It's been worse. It's definitely been worse. So yeah, I think we go outside and we'll play. And I play with the dogs and give them a bit of extra love for a change. Normally I of course put them off at this point and tell them to wait, but I think I really should make up for my poor attitude earlier this week, because I did get very grumpy with them, because they were making a lot of noise and being very doggish, really. So they were doing what dogs do best, and that really isn't their fault. So I shall take my picture. I've got grass on me. When did I get grass? So take a picture. No, not like that. I just to press that button so it came out the back. There we go. Take a picture. So we've got a picture for the thumbnail. There we go. Quickly inspect it for faux pas. Been lucky the last couple of weeks in that we don't seem to have screwed up, which is quite impressive because we were getting to a point where there were quite a few, but not seeing any. So I'm not going to complain. Just means I don't have to undo half of it, and you know. But I'm going to love you and leave you for today. Should my life calm down a little bit, which is unlikely because apparently this shit we're building is going live next Wednesday. I'm so glad they thought I'd be around and have Wednesday and nothing better to do. I mean, I don't, but that's so not the point. But yeah, apparently we're going live next Wednesday with some of it. Not all of it, some of it. You know how these things are. So, I don't know. Yeah. It's all very up in the air, and pretty much in an hour it can turn 3 times on a penny. But I've saved the company money. Won't get thanks for that. Done it quicker than I should. Won't get thanks for that. It is highly documented. Won't get thanked for that. I need to finish my documentation, but it is highly documented. But yeah, they won't thank me for any of it. So, I'm going to go and spend time with my puppies because I was grumpies. And I growled at them and snapped at them and called them names and threatened to kebab them. Well, only the one. Yes, I did. I told you you'd be a kebabble stew, didn't I? Yes, if you didn't shut up, I was going to kebabble stew you and feed you to Rory. Yeah. You did shut up, though, in fairness. So, you know. Anyway, thank you for spending time with me. I'm sorry it's been a bit boring. I know sometimes my streams are very boring. But I just want to see that this works. I know you're all asleep. So can someone tell me, does this make a noise? Did that make a noise now? Because I managed to get the stick graphic coming back up. I just don't know whether it makes a noise or not.
you hugely. And welcome. And yes, hello to you. Thank you very much. I did manage to fix my stick, because obviously I call these holders sticks. And so every so often, occasionally, I press stick, because it is kind of funny. But it is generally quite a boring stream. I am aware of that. Me prattling on, or me just plomping my bobbins about. So I do thank you all for your attendance. So yeah, I thank you all for coming. And let me quickly look. Just to try and bring some form of interest to it. Who's? That's okay. We're here every week. Today is the one day I guarantee I will be here. And the other week work wanted me to work Friday afternoon, and I went, no, I'm busy. And it was like, and I went, I'm busy. Not doing it. So yeah, Friday afternoons, sacred. Originally I was doing most days. I've been a bit burnt out from work and everything, so I'm currently not doing most days. Currently only doing Fridays. Well, one of the biggest problems I've always had when streaming is not hard, but at the same time it's not that easy either, because I'm a raging introvert, and even for me just to know that people are listening is quite stressful. I'm not going to say enjoy it, because that's not the right word, but I don't hate it either, so it's somewhere in the middle. But I'm doing this to document my process. That is the core reason I'm here. I'm not really here for you guys. Well, I am, but I'm not, if you know what I mean. I am doing it to document what I'm doing, so that the next time my brain has a stupid idea, I can go, look what happened last time. But I invite you to come along on my journey and stop in along the way. And it is bugging me that I can't stream as much, because it means I'm not getting as much done. And there's a lot of it to go. This is only strip 2, and we're only, nearly 13 inches in strip 2. And each strip is the best part of 30-something inches long, and I've got 7 of the buggers to make. So the fact that we've got a long way to go, and by doing it one day a week, it's not going to happen very quick. I don't really want to be doing it for the next 20 years. So from that point of view, really want to get on with it. From a more practical point of view, if that's all I can do, that's all I can do. But one of the things that's always bugged me throughout my life was that you'd watch a streamer and you'd be getting into their streams, and they'd do like 2 or 3 streams a week, and they'd have like a crew of people, a camera guy, an editor, and they've got all of that. Of course I don't. And then the sort of almost out the blue, you get the woe is me video. I'm so stressed, I'm going to have to take a break from streaming, I can't possibly do this, even though they're living the life of Riley, because they've got like a 6-figure income from doing it, right? And there is a bit of you kind of going, oh diddums. All you have to do is produce a couple of hours worth of shit a week, and have someone else posts it, someone else edits it. All you've really got... Now, I know it doesn't take 2 hours to make 2 hours worth of edited video. I am not stupid. Just as we all know, it doesn't take 90 minutes to make a 90-minute film, right? However, the amount of time that, say, everyone's involved, all of that. And yes, obviously, in something like this, I am the sad main star of the attraction. And so I do have to be here for all of it. But at the same time, when you've got someone else who edits your videos, someone else who maybe is even controlling OBS and whatever, and filming you on 3 different cameras at the same time, and different microphones for audio, and spends hours editing afterwards, you're not there for that. They do that. Well, you're only there for the recording. So yes, there's extra, but, as I say, maybe a 2 or 3 hours worth of video a week, maybe take 6. There is, but they've also got other people doing it, so it's not quite the same. But I'm not saying that they can't burn out and they can't want to step back, not at all. But it's when, you're making $1 million out of it and you do the whole woe is me and you sit there sobbing for, 45 minutes. Gets a bit much. And I don't want to be with that person. So hence, I boiled it down to 1 day a week where I do moan, obviously. But I'm not burnt out. I have not got to the point where the idea of firing up my stream is just appalling. I haven't got, because I still want to do it and I'm still happy to do it. I'm just really tired. And so it is the difference of I am preventing the burnout rather than burning out and then needing to recoup, which, like all injuries, if you stop before it gets too bad, you'll improve quicker than if you got to breaking point and now have to claw all the way out of the bottom of the hole. So I am sorry though, because it means that, you guys, like today, the counter of watches today has been really, really low. And sometimes that is quite sad, because although I'm not here for the numbers, because I'm certainly not here for the money, because, well, I don't really get any. I think I've had a grand total of about 50 quid payout in the 18 months that I've been doing this. So, I'm not exactly making any money, but it has paid for the bits. It hasn't paid for all the equipment I bought to do it with, but, that's on me. I, arguably could have done without some of it. But, I'm not here for the money. I don't expect to be the next Asmongold with 20,000 viewers. Far from. To be honest, I'm surprised even you lot come. So, with that in mind, oh, I have a follow. Yay! I got a subscription. Thank you very much. Wow, thank you very much. I'm honoured that you have chosen to spend money in my direction. It is not compulsory. But it is very much appreciated. Well, it means you don't get the adverts. That's always a bonus, right? But I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for fame and glory. I'm doing it as a documentation process that you're invited to come along to. So, would it be nice to have a few more of you so you had a bit more conversational going along and it wasn't just me ranting and raving like a lunatic? Yeah, it would. And we've had some streams where we did get some really good conversation going. We've discussed all manner of weirdness, but, we've had some good conversations. And I really, really enjoy those because it's not just me talking. It is a communal discussion. And it doesn't have to be about lace, far from. But it is that kind of thing. It can be about any crafting, any subject, frankly. And so it is nice when it's not just kind of me sitting on my own going plonkty, plonkty, plonk. But at the same time, I know that people like Christy, for example, she does crafting while listening to me. It's a bit like putting on a radio show and doing your own, doing the decorating. You're listening along, but you're also doing something. And I mean, obviously it means that, unlikely to talk in chat, but I appreciate that she comes along and she sits there listening. And so, I don't expect everyone to leap in because, well, it's not everyone's thing. And everyone's entitled to be themselves. I don't expect any pretense here. In fact, it should be forbidden. Be yourself. Don't be someone you don't want to be. And yeah, but at the end of it, I'm going to go and do some dog stuff. As you can hear, they're getting all excited because they're in a good play mood. So now is definitely the time to go in the garden and chuck the ball around and burn off some of the spring bean that is dwelling between them. Are you being all silly, Rory? You are. He's being silly, isn't he? Yes. He is. I can tell. Yes, he is. Well, you can go and bite him then. No, don't maul me. I never said bite me. You're not biting me. Amy has this amazing ability to not be able to stand on things. Don't you? You're not very good at standing on things. You fall off them all the time. There you go. You fell off the couch, woman. It's your own fault. Just stay still, little crackhead. Just stay still. Now, I know you're wagging your bum very, very hard, and it's very hard to stay still when you wag your bum that hard. Oh, what are you on? Dear God, woman, I could see all the way down to your tail. I could. No, don't stand on my boobs. I got cross with them last night, lying in bed, and I swear they found like 12-inch stiletto heels and leapt on my boob. It was utterly painful. Yes, you. They haven't. Any dog owner will tell you that dogs have an atom precision level of standing on things, because they will always stand on the exact same spot on your leg, or the exact same spot, usually your legs, because that's where you notice it most, because that's usually where they stand. But if you're lying down, they'll manage to find the same bit of your arm, or well, they have an amazing knack of standing on my boobs, and it's really painful, because when you're talking 25 kilo of dogs, we're talking 40-something pound a dog. It's not, with claws, it's not designed for that, frankly. It's not what it's for. And she is part mountain goat, so she comes along, and when I'm sitting upright, I'm not even slouching, sitting upright, she'll get on my lap and then rest her back legs and her butt on my boobage. And I don't like it. It's annoying. I bet if I stood on their tails, they'd object. It's the same kind of deal, you know? Rory, stop licking, little man. So yes, we're going to go and play in the garden. And we're going to be silly. Yes, we are. Going to be silly. Oh, I'm being dogged. I am. Dog. Yes. Squish. I'm being squished! Ouch! Hey me. Goodness sake, woman. Anyway, while the mayhem continues, I shall bid you adieu. I'm going to see who is up and alive, and see if there's someone who's worthy of sending you to that I'm aware of and know what they do. So see who's alive and working. So we have a choice of some crochet. That looks like a game. And that could also be crochet. So, let's see. Who's got the least viewers and who's got the most? Person with the least viewer wins, because, well, I know there's only a handful of you, but it all counts. So, I'm going to send you over to Marsh Bandit, who's doing some granny squares by the looks of it. I shall see you another day. Take care. Bye-bye.